I loved being young. It's fun. You can make a lot of mistakes. When you're young, you can make a lot of mistakes, and people are like, well, he's in his 20s. You get a pass making mistakes when you're young. But the advantage to being old, and I read a survey recently, and it's not the first time I've read this. They said, who and what group is the happiest Americans? And they were in their 60s. How is that? You lose your hair, not as cool. Why are 60-year-olds happier? Because they've seen it all before, and they don't overreact because they get a pimple or there's a vaccine or there's a mandate. This is about our 8th vaccine, our 23rd mandate. And most 65-year-olds aren't on Twitter. I read a story this morning about Patrick Mahomes, and people are like, what's wrong with Patrick Mahomes? What is wrong with Kansas City? This is where my age is great. You know what's wrong with him? Nothing. This is what it's like for every quarterback that's ever played the game. It's the roller coaster. Now, if you're great, and Mahomes is, the dips in the roller coaster will not be as severe. They'll be shorter. It's actually a more boring roller coaster. You know, the Blaine Gabbert roller coaster is probably more fun. But I'll give you an example about Mahomes, and he's struggling. Peyton Manning, about as good as anybody that's ever played the position. In year 4, number 1 high school player, great college player, great NFL quarterback. Year 4, he totally regresses. He has a bad year 4. He wins a Super Bowl in 2006, 2007, never gets back to one in Indy. Doesn't win one until he's an old man and wobbling around in Denver. That's how his career went. Russell Wilson, how weird is this? He enters the league, and within a year or two, he has the best defense, Legion of Boom, maybe in 50 years. Now, the last 2 years, he's got the worst defense in the league. Tom Brady had a 9-year stretch. He only got the 2 Super Bowls, lost both. That's the way the league works. You know, when I watch the media swoon over Mahomes, yes, he's awesome. And nobody disputes that. He's great. But when I saw them start lining up Super Bowls, I'm like, oh, you must be in your 30s. It doesn't work that way, right? I mean, so much of your success, I tell my kids this all the time, life is 70% reaction, 30% action. At some point, you and me, I've already done this multiple times, you're going to do something unbelievably stupid. May get you fired. It'll embarrass you. All right, next day, get up, brush your teeth, take a shower, shake it off, ready to go. Your life's about 70% reaction. You can go find the best actors in Hollywood. 75% of Tom Hanks' movies are not hits. He's had like 6, 7 hits max. He's done 50, 60 movies. Marlon Brando had 7 big hits, 15 bombs. They think he's the best actor of all time. The reality is, even if you're a great quarterback, at some point your GM will whiff on a couple of first-round picks. You'll have a great coordinator, and he'll end up getting a job somewhere else. The guy your GM hires to replace him won't be as good. You'll have a couple of unbelievable teammates, and then they'll become free agents and leave you. Your division will get really good. A guy named Justin Herbert will fall into your division. You'll be like, oh, my God. I mean, part of Brady's success, let's be totally honest about this, and we know Tom's great. The dude played in the AFC East, and for years, at one point, Peyton Manning was in the division. Then they realigned it, the NFL did, and sent Peyton Manning out of the division. And he got a bunch of Sam Darnolds and Ryan Tannehills for 20 years. And then he goes to the NFC South, and the Falcons and the Saints, they're rebuilding. The whole division's rebuilding, except Tom's team. So right now, Buffalo and Tampa have way better players than Kansas City. The Kansas City defense has forced 11 punts in 5 weeks. It's terrible. Nothing's happening. The advantage to youth is you get a screw up and people don't bury you. It's youth. You didn't know any better. Drank too much. Did this. But I give everybody a pass. Do that at 55, you lose your job, you lose your legacy. But the advantage to being old is you've seen everything 100 times. The country's gone through multiple crises, multiple issues with presidents. We've been polarized for a long time. It's the first time America's polarized. Oh, it's getting worse. Everything's always getting worse. When I grew up, there was a show called Leave It to Beaver. It was a little funny show you watched after school. It was in black and white. When you go watch Leave It to Beaver, I think it's still on TV land. It is hysterical to listen to the parents. The mom was Barbara Billingsley. I remember that. And if you listen to the parents, you know what they're saying? They're complaining like people complain now about their kids. The life's terrible. It's unbelievable. It was in the 50s. Age gives you wisdom. Take a deep breath, shower, brush your teeth, get your hygiene right, shake it off. We're fine. Nothing wrong with Mahomes. It's called being an NFL quarterback. By the way, Patrick Mahomes yesterday talked about just exactly this. Just simplify things. Let's get back to our foundation. The great news is he's smart and he's coachable. The great golfers, Tiger Woods in his prime. Golf coach, got to work on that swing. The best news for Mahomes, he gets it. He's coachable. He's not arrogant. He's smart. He'll bounce back. But this is what the job entails. Even for the great ones. So, speaking of great ones, Aaron Rodgers. So, all affairs start with flirting. Physical flirting, emotional flirting. I mean, if somebody has an affair, we did not fool around. Well, you were texting, so you were emotionally flirting. It all starts somewhere. So when Aaron Rodgers is making googly eyes with Mike Tomlin and talking about the Steelers ad nauseum, it's just planting the seeds of love, right? And so Aaron again, this week, Pat McAfee show starts talking about his offensive line in Pittsburgh. And what do you know? He's talking about the Steelers again. Here we go. Had to throw in another Pittsburgh compliment. Don't overthink the room. Don't overthink the room. This is how all affairs start. Okay, number one, Aaron Rodgers has told people privately, if I had Brady's defenses, I'd have a lot more Super Bowls. Who always has good defenses? Mike Tomlin's teams. Number two, it's a great time to become a Steeler at the end of this year. The entry point. There's two things you don't want to do in life. Follow Tom Brady in New England or Howard Stern on FM. The Steelers are a proud brand, but they're kind of dying. They need somebody in a cape to save them. Perfect place to enter a great brand. And number three, I don't know who it is. I don't know how it is. The Steelers draft wide receivers better than anybody in the world. They just do. So when you have a great job, I can speak to this, and you go to another great job, you're not upset with everything. You're just looking for one or two of the things you didn't have at the other good job. When Tom Brady, who had a great job in New England, left for Tampa, heck, he took 80% of New England to Tampa. The discipline, the practice schedule. But what didn't he have in Tampa? Great weapons and a little more control with the offense. When Aaron goes to Pittsburgh, if but maybe when, he's got a great job. But what are the one or two things he hasn't consistently had in Green Bay? A great defense and a team that will go out and make big moves in free agency. A Minka Fitzpatrick, they'll do big, aggressive things. They always have. Pittsburgh always has. And he'll get multiple weapons. He doesn't have quite those weapons in Green Bay. But when you have a great job and you leave to another great job, you take about 75, 80% of what you believe to the job. You're just looking for the one or two things you don't have. And what Pittsburgh has always is what Green Bay almost never does. A great defense. And the only time Aaron's had one, they were ranked number 2 in the league, he won a Super Bowl. So it's going to happen. I really do. I don't even think there's a number 2. I think Pittsburgh's the number 1. Denver's a shaky 2, and that's it. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.